What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new around here, my name's Uncle Reddit, and this is r/malicious compliance. Yep, just got back from our camping excursions and back to the real world now. We saw some fireworks last night. Happy 4th, by the way. And I'll have another video coming out on the Uncle John's channel. One of my Don't Be a Jerk series, after watching some of the people and how they behaved in traffic last night around the fireworks show. So stay tuned for that if you're subscribed to that channel. If not, I'll throw a link in the comments section somewhere and we'll see how it goes. All right, let's get on with it. Give your candy. I have an entitled parent story with their kid. The cast is me, my mom, the entitled mom, and entitled daughter. Background: I have 2 cats, and they both use the litter box, and it needs to be cleaned out often. I usually put the litter in a grocery bag and double up the bag in case one breaks or has a hole in it. Story: so I was cleaning out the litter boxes since I had a little bit of time before I needed to do my schoolwork. I grabbed out the scooper and bags, and it so happened to be that the bag on the outside was a bag from a local candy store. I thought nothing of it and continued taking care of the cat's business. I go outside, heading to the dumpster. Entitled daughter and entitled mother had a walk in our neighborhood. Entitled daughter comes up to me and says, "Hey, can I have some candy?" I was super confused and didn't know where she thought I had candy. Then entitled mom comes over. "Don't play stupid, you obviously have a name of candy store bag on you." I look at it and realize what they think they see. "Oh no, this isn't full of candy," I said, trying not to tell her it has cat poop in it. "No, you give entitled daughter some candy now, and we'll be on our way," she demanded. I decided that I was tired of this stuff, literally. "Fine, have the whole bag," I said, and handed it to them. They looked so pleased with themselves that it actually worked, but once they opened the bag, the disappointment on their faces was priceless. "Hey, this isn't candy," said the entitled daughter. "You give us candy as you promised," entitled mom demanded from me. "I never promised you anything. I told you it's not candy, and you didn't believe me," I politely told her in a smart-ass way. "No, you didn't. You're a liar. A liar, I say. A liar," entitled mom shouted at me. Then my mom came out of the house. "What's going on here?" she asked, and saw it was entitled mom. "Oh, I know what's going on." She came over. "Your son promised my daughter and I candy, and he gave us a bag of crap," she yelled at her. "First of all, that's not how you address me. Second, I could pull up the security camera footage and we can see who's in the wrong here. It has audio, and if you're wrong, we could press charges on you for trespassing on our property," she tells entitled mom. Entitled mom took no chances and realized she was beaten. She took the bag of litter and threw it into our driveway, and huffed away with entitled daughter, flipping us off as they went away. And in response, my mom and I just death glared them. After they were a few houses away, my mom returned inside and I picked up the bag. Thankfully, nothing fell out, and the bag was still intact, so I put it in the dumpster. After that, nothing happened. We didn't press charges over something that petty, and that was a good reminder on why we never interact with that family. First of all, I don't care who you think you are, who you think I am, what you think I'm carrying, or what my kids are carrying. You don't demand anything. You don't deserve anything. I don't owe you anything. My family doesn't owe you anything. Some people are just stupid. I was kind of hoping that the kid actually opened the bag and without looking reached in and grabbed a handful of cat poop and litter. Oh well. I just don't understand why some people think they're so entitled to anything they think they want. What's mine is mine and what's yours is mine, right? Eesh. Only help the people that actually come to the church? No problem. Background: I am the pastor of a small church in the southeast United States. We have a benevolence fund that church members contribute to and is designated to help people in need, such as help with power bills, water bills, rent, etc. At the time this took place, we had about $6,000 in that fund, and we had about as much money coming in as we had going out, so the amount was more or less staying steady over a period of several months. The elder who was in charge of deciding who got help and who didn't somehow got the idea that we were going to run out of this fund if we weren't careful. Not likely. Therefore, he came to me and said, "Pastor, I think we need to restrict our benevolence help to those that physically come to the church, not just those that call in via the telephone." He and I debated this back and forth. There was no issue about people calling in being less likely to be legitimate cases. He was just simply trying to reduce expenditures. His line of reasoning was that at some point, one of our members might need some help for something big, and we needed to make sure that we had plenty of money on hand if and when they needed it. My position was that 1. This money was given with the expectation that we use it to help as many people as possible and not just sit on most of it, and 2. We had a really long ways to go before we spent so much that we didn't have any left in reserve. Not wanting to die on this particular hill, I acquiesced to his suggestion. However, when people started calling in saying they needed help with something, I told them, okay, here's what I need you to do. Bring your bill and a photo ID to the church between such and such hours, and someone will at least talk to you. I can't promise anything more than that, but someone will at least sit down with you. Never had a single one object to coming in, and they would usually show up shortly thereafter. The church secretary, who agreed with me on this one, overheard me telling this to someone and started laughing, knowing exactly what I was doing. A few weeks later, the elder mentioned to me, we're getting a lot more people coming directly to the church instead of calling in. Word must have gotten out about how we're doing this. I just replied, yup, must have. And then I would just smile and move on. The elder passed away about 4 years ago, and I don't think he ever clued in as to what I was doing. Boy, that's kind of a touchy one for me. When we moved down here to the Maryland Eastern Shore from New Jersey, the church we were going to, we went there for quite a few years. And, we've never been well off, but we did go through a really tough patch, and I mean a really tough patch. Almost losing the house kind of rough patch. I had problems with a spot on my back where I had surgery years before and was unable to work, and just things were getting bad. And we had a couple elders and a couple deacons that had a really bad, sour attitude about us asking for help. And we actually were members of that church. It wasn't like we were strangers walking in, and even strangers, you help the needy. Well, at that point, we were needy. And there was times that we helped other people with, money or time, mostly time and skills. Like, I could build things and stuff like that, repair things around their house and things. And it really left a bad taste in my mouth, man. I don't understand why certain church leaders need to be that way. It's just a bad look all the way around. But anyway, my feeling is you either have a benevolence fund or you don't. There's no in between. And you don't get to choose, you don't get to pick and choose who needs help this week and who doesn't. Well, you do, but you really should just kind of help people. You can't be sick for that long. Bring her back to school. This happened when I was in elementary school, but the compliance was my mom's. I got whooping cough, which was a lifespan of 100 days. We got a doctor's note from my school, and everyone seemed fine with it except the main office administrator, who was constantly calling my mom to bug her about when I was coming back. About a month in, she calls my mom and tells her it's impossible. I've been sick for this long, and if I'm not in school on Monday, she's calling social services. Keep in mind, at this point, I can barely lift my head. I sound like Darth Vader, and every few minutes I start coughing, like I'm doing an impression of a goose fighting a Toyota. My mom was so sick of this stuff that she put a mask on me and took me to school in a taxi. She practically had to drag me to my class and didn't even bother leaving. I got sent home before the bell even rang. Because of school policy, I was sent to the office and had to be signed out, which meant nasty admin lady got to see exactly how miserable and sick I was. She then had the nerve to ask me how could my mom even consider sending me to school. Unfortunately for her, my mom just to walk up a flight of stairs to come get me because she knew what the heck was going to happen. She signed me out and let the admin lady know that I would cough on anyone who thought I wasn't really sick. Edit, because lots of people are asking about vaccinations. I'm not in the US. I've just Googled it and it's not standard here to give the vaccine to children under 18. I think it may be something they do for pregnant moms, but we immigrated and my mom got her prenatal care at a very small, underfunded hospital. My mom was super on top of all my vaccinations. Also, to the people commenting and messaging me to say my mom is a terrible person or parent, she was effectively the sole parent to 2 kids. At the point this story was happening, I had been extremely ill and she was at her wit's end. She worked full-time and didn't drive, which made getting me to the doctor already really hard, without my school threatening CPS on her. She did her best to make sure I didn't breathe on anyone or even go near them. Worth mentioning, there were no other cases at my school, before or after. OP, I'm not sure how anybody could say your mom was a horrible person. Being a single parent's tough as it is, but then when the kids are getting sick and you don't drive and you got to figure out how to get from place to place, whether it's a taxi, an Uber, a bus, walking, bicycle, whatever. I love how everybody's so judgy when they're not even in your shoes and they have no idea what was going on. Even with the story being said, we still only have some context, I don't know. People just need to stop being busybodies. Sweet tea. I posted this somewhere else and someone suggested I share it here. This happened a while ago, but I love this story. I worked at a high-end steakhouse for years. I live in the South, so when someone orders tea, you ask them if they want sweetened or unsweetened tea. Anyway, I was waiting on a table of 4 businessmen and I go to take the drink order. I'll order a drink from the bar, and 3 of the 4 want water as well. The other gentleman orders tea. Okay, so I ask him, sweet or unsweet? And he says, just as sweet as you are, sugar. Ugh, gross. So I bring him an unsweetened tea and told him it was just as sweet as I was. The look on his face when he sipped it was priceless. The laughter from his colleagues when they figured it out was priceless. And my tip? About 50% and more than $100. Not bad for a 4-top. Honestly, they were a fun group and I'm glad we could all get a laugh. Have to come into the office with the flu? Okay. About 10 years ago, my employer didn't have a sick leave policy. It was at your supervisor's discretion. One year I got the flu and was in bed for several days. On the 3rd day, my supervisor called and said I had to come into the office the next day. I explained I had the flu and look and feel terrible and was still very sick. He said no excuses and no exceptions. His policy is 3 days max. So the next day I went into the office and the president of the company said, Jesus, why are you here? You look terrible. Go home. I explained that I had to see my supervisor since he said I had to come in. Supervisor sent me home after the president told him he had to. The next week, about 75% of the staff in that office was out with the flu for the week. It was a quiet week for me. Oh my God. So, I'm the type of person, it depends on the job and the circumstances and how many employees you have and stuff like that. I tend to believe that you should, if you're sick, try to stay home, stay away from your workplace, don't infect everybody else. But there have been times when I got threatened with losing my job, working construction especially. They're like, I don't care, take an aspirin and come into work anyway, so I would. And one time we were working on this doctor's office and I was working with several other guys. We were in a maybe a large closet area for files, and they had these tracks that you put in for these file shelves that you spun a little wheel on the end and it made the cart go back and forth on the tracks. Or maybe the wheel was the brake. But anyway, they were on tracks. And we were installing all these tracks. Well, it takes 2 people per set. And there was 2 of us working on one set and 2 people working on the other sets. And yeah, all 3 of them got sick after I came into work that day because I was told I was going to be fired. And I couldn't afford to be fired, so oh well. Well, hey guys, I hope you enjoyed these stories. And if you did, would you consider doing me a favor? Maybe click like on this video. Maybe subscribe to the channel. And definitely click that little bell icon so you don't miss the fat guy with the beard telling you stories. See ya.